If we're not at a Disney park, we're dreaming about being there, and a cup of Joffrey's Coffee Disney Blend helps. But what about when you're at a Disney park? The Joffrey's Disney Kiosk and Restaurant Locator will make sure you never miss out. Whether it's a cool drink on a hot summer vacation or a great cup of coffee at a Disney signature restaurant, Joffrey's has you covered. Check it out at joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To our new passengers, aloha and welcome aboard.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
I'm Bob Collar.
This is ResortLoop.com. This is episode 441, and Bob, which show is this?
Pandora all the time.
Because that's all everybody's talking about. No.
No?
It's one of our favorite shows of the month. It's the DVC Roundtable.
Absolutely. We love these guys. You guys have kind of turned into a little bit of a family, the DVC Roundtable family, if you will.
We really need to record the pre-show, put that out as a separate show.
Yeah, right.
You said you weren't recording. You promised.
I wasn't recording, but I can't promise
that
for.
We'll charge for.
Exactly.
I.e. blackmail, right?
There you go. Tim, who's with us today?
Joining us on the show today, Miss Rebecca Toon.
Hello.
Oh, so happy to hear her voice.
Yeah.
You okay, Brad?
So happy to be here.
I think she's one of the kissing cousins. I don't know.
Oh.
kind of.
And there you hear Mr. Brad Coates chiming in.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Emily Hansa Hicks.
I didn't do it.
And the muscle. And the muscle behind ResortLoop.com. Joe Quattrochi. How you doing, Joe?
Looper Nation, what's going on, guys?
Awesome.
Joe.
Mr. Contemporary. Yes, it's me.
Exactly. Well, it's been a little bit of
Joe's Resort.
So we have
Rebecca, my cousin just kept running away. I don't understand.
And so it begins.
There
We've
you
got
go.
the usual suspects, Tim.
And unfortunately, this time we're not on location like we were last month.
Oh,
At the lovely.
So sad.
I know.
Let's just go back.
Let's all go back to Geyser Point. That was fantastic. We did a brief show there with Joe and Justin Leeser. Had a good show, but now everyone's back. And we've got some news to catch up on.
Absolutely.
So much news.
I know. Joe, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I got a little news story here. As everybody knows, I love golf, so this news story was up my alley. So the miniature golf course at Disney's Vero Beach Resort in Florida, is known as Portholes, is now free to. That's a great name. Is now free to DVC members. Previously, the resort hosted free plays on every Wednesdays for DVC members. DVC members would need to go and present their room key imprinted with DVC member at Ebb and Flow's Rentals, which is located on the resort property, to obtain the putters and the golf balls to play. The perk applies to members and all of the registered guests while you guys are staying at the resort. The 9-hole pirate-themed course is located near the resort pool. The operating hours vary, but according to the Disney website, it's open daily from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. while somebody's phone rings in the background. And
Not it.
So it's not me, like I said.
This is edited for 2017. It's open daily from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can either go down to Ebb and Flows, or if you feel the need to call, you can call 772-234-2166. If you don't, I guess if you were to pay cash for this, it's $5 per person, and they consider an adult somebody from the age of 3 and up. So unlike Disney World, where an adult is 10 and up, they could constitute an adult for mini golf as 3 and up. So there you go. So mini golf is now free at Portholes if y'all are interested while staying at Vero Beach.
Has anyone done that?
Stayed at Vero Beach. I've driven by it. That's about it.
No one has played the
course
mini-golf there.
Anybody? Can we just take a moment to appreciate how much effort Disney puts into everything, even the way they name things? I mean, Ebb and Flow's Rentals. How cute is that?
I know. I was just thinking how much fun Portholes sounds.
It's a cool looking course too. If you Google it, it's got some pretty cool.
Did you say it was pirate themed?
Mm-hmm. It's got like little treasure chests and like.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, like the pirate, like the wheels of the ships and stuff, and
nice
gators and whatever like that. So.
Yeah, Disney doesn't miss a thing. That's awesome.
And if their mini golf is as good as Fantasia Gardens, the Fairways course, which is my favorite, for 9 holes, something to do with the family. You don't have to venture off property to do it while you're down at Vero Beach. Do it on any night of the week. It's fun.
That's cool.
I got to be honest. I like this idea. It's very similar to what they do on the cruise ships, where you can everything is free once you get on the cruise ship for the most part. And I think this is a decent. It's not hundreds of dollars that you're going to be saving unless you truly love mini golf. But it's free. If free is free, and
it's not nickel and diming you. I mean, there's that.
Right.
Exactly. Yep.
There's that all-inclusive feel, which is really great, I think. Yeah.
And we've talked occasionally about this, but it also makes you feel kind of special to walk in there, and it doesn't give you that owner feeling versus the renter.
Show your card.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Your money's no good here.
Your money's no good at ebb and flows.
Miss Toon, you don't belong here.
Man, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
Before this gets too far off the rails, Emily, why don't you give us the other story we have?
All right. So I've never been on a cruise, but here I am feeling really close to them. So I'm going to tell you about the Membership Magic Ever After, which I feel like is a lot of words for one cruise.
It's wordy.
It's or for one, I guess it's the whole rewards program this year, right? So anyway, Membership Magic Ever After cruise, 2017. We can save 25%, we DVCers, off the prevailing tax-inclusive rates. That's kind of fun. I mean, as like a banky kind of person, I like the fact that it includes the taxes.
Yeah.
Quoted the ones that are on DisneyCruise.com, so go straight there. Don't pass go. For the October 2nd, 2017 Disney Magic Sailing, the categories are 00T or OOT through 11C, which I'm going to be honest, I don't even know what that means. All I can tell you is what my particular category is for the one cruise I have booked, and I still don't know any of the other ones. Member services is where I would go for the details with if I could con my husband into signing up for another cruise this year, which I totally would. The itinerary is a St. John, New Brunswick, and 2 sea days, which sounds really fun to me because actually the thing I'm most looking forward to is sea days. And you must have purchased directly through DVC to get this deal. So this is one of those, I mean, they are tweaking this. That's a pretty decent savings depending on how much that cruise is, which honestly I did not look up, but maybe I will just for fun. And but 25% off. I mean, anyway, the perks involved, that is a pretty big perk for a direct membership.
That's so great. Great one.
But it does look like you need to use vacation points or a combo of vacation points and cash. And I think I mentioned previously when I called in about the combo with vacation points and cash, and we have all talked about this, the cash price is so much less expensive than the per point price when you compare it by the equivalent value for a Walt Disney World vacation or a Disneyland vacation. So if you're looking at doing that, you may want to just put a minimum vacation point contribution, which I think they make you actually pay for a full person. So if you're traveling with a kid, you could travel with the child's fare as the points. But if I recall correctly, when you're doing combos, you can't just like throw 3 points at it and call it a day. You have to actually book a full person with that. So, yep. And Brad,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Brad, do you know if you can book that through? I'm assuming you can't because from what I've have friends that are in the biz, and I don't think you can book these DVC type. No,
because it's
them.
DVC, so you have to book it through DVC.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
But to give you just to fill in a couple blanks there, that is true. When they did the cruises before for members, that required a minimum amount. But I don't think it was a full person, but it was a minimum. It was like 250 points or something like that. So if they're following the same formula, it'll be something like that. And then as far as the cabin classifications, it's kind of silly. They put that's basically every cabin on the boat. The OOT.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. The OOT, the only thing that's not on there is the concierge royal suite and then the 2-bedroom suites. Those are OS and OR, I think. The OT is a 1-bedroom suite, and the 11C is the smallest inside stateroom. The lowest. So basically, it's every cabin except for the 2 top.
So it's pretty much everything but the Steamboat Willie room.
Yeah,
right.
It actually includes the first level of the concierge suites, which is surprising.
Wow.
Those are completely limited because there's so few of them, but that OOT is included, so that's pretty cool.
Here's the ballpark dollar figures for that. Inside stateroom, $2,200. Ocean view, $2,300. I'm guessing that's one person. It's
okay.
No, that's 2 adults.
That's sorry.
Two adults. Okay.
2 adults. Yeah.
Never had kids, people. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
And that price is without the discount, right?
So that's without the discount. Yeah, that's just veranda, 3,000. So
listen, anytime you can get more than
weekend.
10% off on a Disney cruise,
You're doing well.
it's a good day.
Yeah.
So 25%, that's really good. The only
That's
bad
pretty
thing
big.
is it's one particular. They're having you go on an itinerary that's new
Not
and
one
very
stop, right?
out there. So, but hey, if I was free, I'd go on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And just Tim
Yes.
has a great tip on as far as it's going to be cold. It's going to be October in the North Atlantic. What do you tell everybody what your thoughts on the whole veranda?
I wouldn't bother
idea,
with the
which is
veranda.
An extra $1,000.
Don't do it.
Yeah, because that ship's going to be moving. That air is going to be cold.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to enjoy it out there. Just get a standard porthole room if you want to look outside.
Yeah.
You know what? We are going to go with a veranda, but we're going in July to the Caribbean.
Oh,
But
Yeah. There you go.
you'll be fine.
I'm super jealous though of the magic portholes. I'm not going to lie. Like I keep thinking, like, have I made a mistake? Because I really kind of want to see I've heard that they have like the Disney characters floating by your windows and things like that.
Mhm. Yep.
And honestly, I think the kids would like that better than a bunch of ocean forever.
Emily, I'm sure you could find that on YouTube. We could just put an iPad up to your face and
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I will do.
The nicest
See a little
thing
taste.
veranda, honestly, the
Full
nicest
of
thing
good
for me with the
suggestions.
veranda is leaving the door open at night when you're sleeping. That fresh ocean
Oh,
breeze
yeah.
blowing while you're
Absolutely.
laying. Oh, great.
Yeah,
That's a great tip.
We did that too, Brad. Yeah, that's great. Just real quick, the ocean view with the 25%. That's around $1,800. That's not bad.
No.
Gee.
Ah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
almost
killer.
tempting.
But does that make it worth buying points from DVC versus retail?
Well, let's see. You're saving like $500, so you have to say what was your original.
Yeah. So
What
I'm
was your
still
original
thinking
purchase
no.
price? I'm thinking no. Like, I mean, if you think about our Saratoga versus our Grand Floridian points, we bought, I think I've said this before, but we bought our Saratogas at $62 a point. 62, guys.
Nice.
And Grand Floridian was, I think, $150.
Wow.
So we would have made up that difference in pretty much like, I'm not sure how much. I'm not very good at math right now, but maybe like 10 points, 11 points,
Yeah.
right?
But if you already own Disney points, it's
Right.
a great perk.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, Rebecca.
Yeah.
So I, being the social media nerd that I am, actually I just posted on Twitter as we were talking.
I saw it.
Well, aren't you special?
Aren't I? So I'm a multitasker from way back. I'm drinking too, so it's all good. So I'm here to tell
Not me.
you about the new Disney Vacation Club Instagram page. So the new Disney Vacation Club Instagram page curates and shares a wide range of member and fan-created Instagram posts. So if you are a DVC member or thinking about becoming a DVC member, or maybe are a DVC renter, tag those pictures and posts with hashtag DVC member, along with any images and posts that you want to put up there, and it will start to curate, and you can actually click on that hashtag and go through and look at everybody else's posts. So if you're looking for perhaps a specific room or some more information about a DVC resort, it's a great way to sort of go through and find some organic pictures instead of the stock photos. It's a great way to sort of find some action shots and some organic photos of the resort that you might be looking into. And then also the DVC forum is now leveraging the popular platform of Facebook groups. So as you may know, Facebook pages are more designed for your official profile and for entities and individuals, but groups sort of invite people to come together around a common interest, much like our awesome Lubernation group. So if you are so inclined, the official Disney Vacation Club Facebook group known as Disney Vacation Club Neighborhood, connects members with fans and each other, which fosters open, organic interactions without participation from the DVC itself. So maybe if you really liked something, or maybe if you didn't so much like something, it's a great place to go and post and offer some honest information. And certainly if you're out there tagging photos, make sure you tag Resort Loop as well, so we can take a look at them and comment on them. And it's a great way to share information.
This kind of cracks me up because, of course, there are a billion DVC groups now on Facebook.
Sure.
Maybe. And some of them, I just always am entertained by the fact that
They're
somebody
brutal.
could yes,
Oh, really?
exactly. Somebody could totally stumble into one.
Let me tell you, I moderate a couple of them, and they are,
oh my gosh, yes. It's there are a couple that are even too edgy for me, and I feel like I have a pretty thick skin, so.
Well, let me tell you, there is one group that I'm a member of, and I don't know the guy. I think it's a guy named Peter who runs the group. It's called Saratoga Springs Resort Disney DVC, and I think most of the group is Saratoga Springs owners. I'm looking at it right now. There's only 636 members, and it's closed. You have to request to get in it. It is one of the friendliest groups I've ever been in. Anytime I post a question here, I get a very friendly response. I don't know the guy who runs this. I'm not promoting this thing. I'm just saying if you are a owner at a certain resort, whatever, there might be a small niche group that you may be able to find. It's not part of the bigger groups. And I found this one group. I've been a member for since I bought at Saratoga, and it's an awesome group. They're very friendly, and everybody's a Saratoga owner there. Everybody's happy to be owners there, and I always get the answers to my questions. You just got to find the group that fits you best.
There's definitely good groups out there. Absolutely.
Yes.
You just if you find you don't fit in one, try another one. This DVC neighborhood, the Disney Vacation Neighborhood Club or Club Neighborhood is sort of just their official one. And if they're anything like the WDW Today Twitter group, they're great about answering and sort of following up, and it's always fun when you post a picture and they sort of recognize you. It's exciting to see that they answered you individually, and they do a great job of social media, so it's a great place to go and sort of be part of it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do if it starts getting a little edgy, or if people start getting. That's what I'm just curious about.
That won't take too long.
There's so many people, especially in the DVC group, that are you can look at a lot of the other forums too, and people get really cynical really quickly, and some of them get kind of edgy. And I guess, to our listeners, anybody who's listening and goes on one of these groups and then finds themselves in a place where they feel bad about themselves or the group or whatever, I just want you to know that some people just are nasty on the internet, and just keep that in mind.
But come on over to Looper Nation and we'll treat you right.
Exactly. Don't take it personally. There are groups that I'm a member of that I just don't participate in anymore, because even though I can get some good information from them occasionally, it's just not worth the hazing experience. So
Great way of putting it. That's
right.
Exactly right.
Right.
And there's one thing you do not, if you are either an owner, a member, or a renter, and if you do not want your dirty laundry aired on the internet, do not hang it over the railings of any resort where your photos can be taken, because it will be posted on the internet.
Or if it's in the hallway, there were some
or if you're staying in an All-Stars and visiting someone at a DVC.
Don't leave children's underpants in the hallway. There's a lot of photos that get
it's crazy. It's quasi-entertaining.
But just know that there's a lot of us that love you out there. Just sort of
everything you see with a grain of salt.
And come over to our Looper Nation group. Rebecca, I think Rebecca's the moderator of it, and we're all on it. Tim and Bob are on it.
Right.
There's enough of us that are owners there. We'll get you the answer. Enough of us have stayed at all the places. It's a safe space, if you want to call it. It's seriously everybody has a great time in there. There's no drama. So drop into our group, request to be added to it. And we have a good time over there.
Absolutely.
Family friendly.
Absolutely.
Family friendly.
We love that.
We love it. It's great.
And yet we're so funny, right? We're super funny.
We are super funny.
Of course. Absolutely. Let's talk about Pandora.
So actually, I'm going to talk about this story too.
I love that jewelry.
But it's not what you think.
What?
I know. This is causing a bit of confusion, because actually I was there last weekend, and a friend of mine from Disneyland texted me, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm on the bus to Pandora right now. And he said, the jewelry store? And I went, no, you moron. So, you know, stick with it.
I love that that's your reaction. No, you moron.
Yeah. I was like, what are you
Why would
thinking?
I go to Pandora, the jewelry store? That's ridiculous.
Right, that
Why don't
is
you bring that up? That'll be fun. The first
Who
week it
wants
opens
that?
up, somebody standing at the
But I
at
want a
the
charm.
bridge going over, going, "Where's the jewelry? Where's
Well,
the jewelry?"
to your friend's defense, there is a Pandora jewelry store in downtown Disney District in
there is, and
Disneyland.
that's
So
exactly what
he probably was
referenced.
thinking that, you know, they have.
Oh,
one
he
in
was
Disney World.
100% referencing that. And he's like, why are you on a bus to a jewelry store?
You're like
it all
tiny
blue?
people with blue ears.
Okay.
This is not what I imagined at all.
Blue, that's the
It's all the
It all
jewelry.
glows.
Yeah. So no, I'm talking about a little bit of different Pandora as well as some other stores. But every Wednesday, beginning on May 3rd through the end of this year, 2017, DVC members can enjoy access to a featured store from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So think of it sort of like extra magic hours at a store. So before the
Shopping?
store. Right, extra magic shopping hours. And please stay in your seat. So you can enjoy an extra hour of shopping before the store opens to the general public. The store will also have a special offer that members can enjoy all day during the member shopping event and throughout the event day during the store operating hours. So perhaps it's a percentage off of a purchase or a free gift with purchase or any number of things that they'll be offering. Some of the stores that will be participating in this upcoming promotion include Pandora Jewelry, Origins, Basin or Bassin, depending on who you are, because I've actually heard it called both. I prefer Basin.
I would think
That's
Basin.
just me.
Bassin.
The soap store.
That's like a fish.
So I have
That's
a lot
not-
of friends from the UK, and they pronounce it that way. It's very interesting.
Did you know that
Vera
Canadians will pronounce the Celica?
That's
It's
interesting.
true. Our Canadian friends, I think that's crazy. Just
That's,
saying. Okay.
that's very interesting, eh?
There's not a store for them though, so hush.
Get out, you hoser.
So hush, hey.
I don't know what all this is a boot.
And Vera Bradley, Sephora, and American Threads. So at any of those stores and probably a few more, you'll be able to go in for an hour earlier and get some sort of little perk.
So
which is
wait.
kinda cool.
Can we take this back 1 second? And maybe it's the Joffreys, but can you clarify to me, is this at Downtown Disney I'm so sorry, Disney Springs?
Yes.
I believe currently it is at Disney Springs. Yes.
Okay.
So
this is like a Disney Springs DVC
it
member
does, yeah. So
benefit.
DVC saying if you're a member and you're in Disney World, you can take advantage of that.
So this would be really good if you were at Saratoga Springs and you had obnoxious children and you were like,
Things Old Key West. I know.
Yeah.
Each one of those have great access.
Mm-hmm.
And you were up early, maybe having your morning Joffreys and wanted to boat over and take
you
advantage
tell your
of some-
husband you're going to go get coffee,
or
Yep.
you just happen to find yourself on a boat.
right?
You know, I tell you
Accidentally.
that happens. I accidentally rope dropped Hollywood Studios the other day. I don't know how it happened. I was there.
Sometimes you just,
just
get on a gondola.
I was
So-
there.
Wait,
Let me,
what?
Let me ask you guys a question real quick. I'm sorry about jumping. Do you think that that Disney Springs, these stores are not hurting, but they're because between this and over the Star Wars weekend, they had a lot of discounts for the runners and stuff like that to show your bib or your medal. They seem like they're offering a lot of discounts down at Disney Springs at all of these like higher end stores. Do you think that some of these stores they're not hurting yet, but do you think that their sales aren't, or maybe
I
the
don't
foot
think
traffic
they're
is not what
hurting,
they
but
want
I
it to
think they're
be?
trying to get traffic in the morning. I think they see their
Mhm.
most traffic in the evenings, and I think they're trying to generate some movement during the day. Is what
Yeah,
I feel like people are
Yeah.
still looking at Disney Springs as after all the parks close, this is Plan B.
And I think
When-
Run Disney was giving those discounts at the stores down there. I feel like those were, since I started running, which true has only been a couple of years, but I don't think this is brand new as a concept for
No, I don't
the
either. And I
expos.
also think it's a way to disperse people. Like, I think it's a way to spread the people out over more. I will say I was shocked to find one night I was in Disney last weekend, and one of the nights I was there, Animal Kingdom was the park that was opened the latest of all the four parks.
What?
That blew my mind. Like, that was
Wow.
a huge sort of changing of the guard for me was that every other park closed at 9:00 and Animal Kingdom was open until 9:30. So I think we're seeing a real change in patterns, change in trying to how we spread people out. And I think they're really trying to push people towards, because in some instances, Disney Springs was open until 2 a.m.
Wow.
I feel like if they start giving huge discounts to DVC members in the morning, then we can start thinking they're struggling. But until then, we probably can assume they're just trying to drive people there early and call it a perk, like as usual.
I think that they also recognize that DVC members, annual pass holders, are their most committed audience. They're the people.
They're the people that are going to stop.
They're the ones that want the labels. They're the one that wants the swag. So I think they're recognizing that those are their most loyal customers.
Like I said, and they're the ones that'll be outside the parks too. They'll be outside the parks.
Right,
tomorrow.
exactly, because they don't feel pressure to be in the park every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think they recognize that is a demographic that they can pull in.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Very good. Brad, why don't you talk a little bit about the West Coast?
Okie dokie. Sorry, I'm swallowing some of my Joffrey's Kona coffee.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I had some
in
tea
my
earlier.
new DVC Roundtable mug.
Yeah, you are.
Very nice.
Well, the DVC news out on the West Coast is unfortunately not real happy news. The Disney Grand California Hotel has been in a refurbishment mode for quite a while now. They were remodeling rooms, redoing the pools, and the main area. All the pools were shut down at one point. I had friends and people that were there that were. It actually was nice in one sense in that you could actually get rooms available at Grand California, which in the past you just couldn't get them, and they were at a good rate. And then the DVC, there was even some DVC rooms that were still available at 7 months for people, but because people were going to different places. Well, most of the pool, they're saying that the pool and the slide are scheduled to be opened back up very shortly. Some of the key areas are done. But now they're saying there is a delay in the soft goods refurbishment part. It was scheduled to wrap up at the end of 2016, and now they're pushing it into the fall of 2017. So that's quite a difference. That's almost a full year difference. So we're pushing towards it. We were hoping to be done before summer, and it just kept stretching out. Now it looks like we're going to be late into fall. But it does look like it's really talking about the hotel rooms and the Chippendale artwork and the bathrooms and areas like that. I think all of that's going to be is either finished now or will be finished soon. It's just the soft goods side of it that is going to be delayed, but I don't know that for a fact. Has anybody heard anything specifically on that?
I haven't. Have they said what the slowdown is being caused by, Brad?
There has been no information as far as why it's taken so long. I think, but basically, just going based on what I do know about what they were as far as the hard refurbishment, the main refurbishment part. They just bid off. They were trying to do it all in one, basically remodeling the whole resort all at once. And they just kind of bit off more than I think they were ready to chew, and the hotel stays full, so it doesn't leave them a lot of room,
right?
Wiggle room. So, but anyway, the good news is the pool area is about to open up, and that was the biggest frustration for people, was that the pool area was closed.
Sure.
That's got to be costing them some money, because those rooms are not cheap anyway, and for them to have to close down rooms over the summer, somebody's probably in a little bit of trouble over that.
And they can't work late into the evening because they don't want to keep people awake.
And besides that, they've got rooms that are closed, and with that in mind, there was still room availability and great rates. So that tells you, even though they have less rooms, they can't even keep those full right now because of the remodeling that's going on. So I'm sure it has been they've taken a hit.
Right. And we've said this before, though. A lot of us East Coasters, we think it's always hot in California. So when we hear that the pool's down, we're like, the pool's down. We don't want to stay there. Where California is not always warm. And a lot of times, like in Florida, you're going down to the pool in the evening, maybe wrapping up your day, going for a nice evening swim, because it's hot. It's really hot. But in California, it can be kind of cool, and you don't necessarily need the pool. So I think a lot of people are probably being scared away unnecessarily just because of the pool situation there. So
that and the other part of that too is that, you know, in Walt Disney World, when a pool goes down and say, yeah, but you're able to go ahead and use this pool over here.
Right.
If you're a Disney World person, you're thinking, oh, that's a long ways away. Do we got to ride a bus over there? No, the Disneyland hotel pool you can go swim in, and it's about a 5-minute walk. So it's not that far to go over there and swim in their pool. But boy, when you're looking at that and you don't know how Disneyland is laid out, that could freak you out too.
Sure.
There you go. All right, Joseph, it is your turn.
All right, this is a not so happy story, but it's a little bit of the world we live in. But according to the Orlando Sentinel, a cast member at Disney's Old Key West Resort was arrested recently during a sting operation. Cast member Maria Burgos was allegedly caught stealing money from a room that was under surveillance by Disney security and law enforcement. According to the Orange County Sheriff's Office, first of all, she was there were many complaints that had come in about the rooms that she was servicing. I guess that money and some things were missing. So I guess which alerted Disney security and the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Therefore, they I guess did a like a sting operation, and they placed about $200 in cash in an envelope on a nightstand, and I guess using video surveillance, they caught her removing $20 from the envelope. Now, some people on the message board had said, you know, maybe she thought this was a tip or whatever. For Disney security and for law enforcement to go to this length, there definitely must have been a lot of complaints with this cast member with possible thefts to alleged thefts that were happening with the room she was cleaning. We all know that Disney World employs tens of thousands of cast members, and 99.9% of them are amazing people. This happens, you know, it's the real world. So she was arrested and charged. The article goes on to say that, you know, Florida statute defines different degrees of grand theft. The lowest is grand theft in the third degree, which involves property valued at $3 or more. Grand theft in the third degree is punishable by 5 years in prison in Florida and a $5,000 fine. So right now she's been released on bail, pending, I guess, you know, the judicial process. There have been instances in the past with cast members at Old Key West and at Saratoga. I just did a little bit of digging real quickly with a quick Google search, and there was an instance back in 2010 where a cast member who worked at the front desk or who was checking in employees was skimming credit cards from guests that were checking in. That was back in 2010. She had since pled guilty and was sent to jail. The amount of jail time she was sent to, I'm not quite sure, but, you know, it just kind of reminds us that, you know, even though we're in Disney World and we're in the bubble, Disney gives you the keys to the safe. They give you, you know, a place to lock up your belongings. You know, if you're on the first floor of any of these units, it doesn't matter if it's a regular hotel room or a DVC unit, lock your doors. If you go out to the balcony, you come back in, make sure the door is locked. Cash valuables, lock it up in the safe. You know, don't leave it out. If you are going to leave a tip for your housekeeper, you know, mark it as a tip. Put it, you know, label it. Here's a tip for you. Thank you very much. So there's no discretion. There's no discrepancy, you know, that it could be a mistake or not. You know, like I said, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes. But just, you know, take some, you know, steps to prepare yourself to take, you know, precautions so this doesn't happen to you if there is a dishonest employee there. And if you are going to leave a tip, make sure that, you know, you do mark it for them so there is no confusion in the future. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm sure there will be a follow-up in the Sentinel, because they always follow up on these stories in Disney. So we will see what happens.
There's also something to think about is, for all of you crafty people out there, there are all these cute printables for tips. And that's a super fun way. I never do it, I'm not going to lie, but we do leave cash when we leave, because another thing that we can kind of touch on here that's DVC relevant is that there's always a big debate about this, but you only get service, like, usually probably twice a trip, depending on how long you stay. And so you're not going to get service, you're not going to get, like, turn down service, cleaning service every day.
Unless you pay for it.
Yeah, unless you pay for it. And you'll get trash and towel service basically at the midday of your trip if you're staying for a week. So I think it's the third or fourth day. So if you're going to stay for like a week, one person may come into your room once a week. So if you're going to do that, you can leave a tip at that point. But theoretically, Disney dues are supposed to cover, the DVC dues are supposed to cover housekeeping completely, including tips. And different people have different theories about this. Some people like to be generous regardless. We definitely leave a tip at the end of our stay. It's not huge, but we definitely try to put a bit out for our mousekeeper. And we, depending on how long your stay was, depending on how you leave the place, all these things it's a personal decision how to tip. But keep in mind that the byword is that you don't have to tip mousekeeping if you're a DVC member because it's included in your dues. So do know that. And then the other thing to know is if you are going to leave a tip, you're only going to need to do it once or twice a trip, unless you're staying a fortnight, in which case you may want to do it more.
Vicky, you and Aunt.
Right? That's for you, Vicky. But yeah, so keep that in mind. And I don't say that to discourage tipping because I love tipping. It makes me super happy to share my joy with other people, and I save for vacations for a reason. And so if I can feel even better about my vacation by tipping, by being sort of generous, I would like to spread that around. But it is something to think about, and to mark your tips is not a bad idea. So
well, and I think it's anything. I don't think it's just tips. I mean, Joe and I were talking when we were down this weekend about the big stroller debacle of the stroller that was stolen and then sold on eBay, and it was an incredibly pricey stroller.
Yeah, that was high end.
I think we believe we're in the bubble, and we tend to park our strollers or our credit cards or our wallets places where we wouldn't normally leave them because we think it's Disney and oh my goodness, what could possibly happen? And unfortunately, it's still part of the real world. As much as they do a great job with security and insulating us, you still need to be aware of your surroundings and what you're doing, regardless of what that involves. So I think
the other thing is
everything.
I mean, this is just a personal decision, but we bring a stroller or two every trip because we have 3 kids. And we have a stroller that we like, but it's pretty beat up, and we purchase it at a garage sale locally. And that's what we take. We bring the kids in the airport in it, at least 2 of them, and strap them in so we can deal with them in the airport. We gate check it. We take it to Disney. I just really discourage. I know people have beautiful, convenient strollers that make them feel fabulous and that they're super easy to push and everything like that. But I'm telling you, what's better than having a fabulous stroller is never thinking about your stroller.
Yep.
So, I don't even want to deal with a stroller rental and the liability that happens if somebody steals it or if it gets bent up, out of shape, or anything. And if you use the Disney strollers at the parks, you have to pay by the day and you can't get them. I'm not sure if you can take them back to your room, but I think you have to leave them there. But yeah, you do. I just really advise, I think Chris Malick would probably back me up on this, just to bring a beat up old stroller that will get
we did that for years.
Right.
Yeah. Don't bring things to Disney World that you will worry about. Of course use the safe for your valuables, but honestly, I don't even wear, I don't normally wear expensive jewelry, but I wouldn't even bring jewelry on my trips. I just want to enjoy myself and not worry about anything. And that's
exactly. Don't bring anything to stress about.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That's why I brought Tim this time.
That's right.
That was
right. Because he would take care of you, right?
I was his human shield.
Human shield.
That's fine. So, Tim, we got some questions for our roundtables members here.
We do.
By the way, this is awesome. We have so many great questions.
Yes, thank you guys for writing in.
Absolutely.
They like us. They really like us.
No, they really have questions, Emily.
They do.
We've confused them.
But they came to the roundtable for answers, so let's get to it here. This is from the website. This is a great podcast. Love the show, especially the DVC Roundtables. Lots of helpful information. You have a question. My family typically travels to Walt Disney World during the summer months, so considering the 7 and or 11-month booking window for DVC and vacationing during summer, if I decide to buy a DVC contract from Disney, what month do I need my points to become available, or what use year should I be looking for in order to nail down a specific property or reservation that time of year? I've been listening to your DVC shows and researching myself, but haven't been able to figure out this important part out. Please help. Also, when you plan on Looper Meet at Disneyland, we'd love to sure visit the West Coast sometime. That's from Robert Spence. So thank you, Robert. Hopefully sooner than later on the Disneyland.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So I've when you sent us this question, Tim, I had actually no idea what the answer to this question was. When I bought my contract, I just bought it. But seriously, so I did a little research and I learned something new because of this question. So thank you very much. I had no idea that the only use years were February, March, April, June, August, September, October, and December. That's not every month.
Really?
Everybody knows that, Joe.
No.
Everybody knows that because you just told us.
That's right.
That's right.
So I did find, so I don't mean to jump us, but I did find some information from our friends at dvcinfo.com. If I could just share that with the group, I'm very eager to do that. But according to them, because I had no idea about this, it said, according to their website, it says use year only matters if you have to cancel a vacation that was scheduled to occur in the last 4 months of your use year. They continue to say that's because banking points is not allowed during the last 4 months of your use year, and you don't have much time to reschedule before your points expires. Many owners never have to cancel a vacation, so they don't have to worry about the use year, but just in case you do, that's something to think about. So, which kind of makes sense. It's like if you go in the summer, you want to maybe have, it's like I go in September, even though my use year is February. If I would have known this information at a time,
You would have gotten August.
I would have maybe got an August use year. So if my September trip fell through, I'm like, okay, I have a whole rest of the year to go ahead and try to get another trip in if I can. So thank you very much, Robert, for this question, because I learned a lot from this question myself.
and factually, Joe is just saying April. That's really what he just said there, because if you're going to travel in the summer, you want to have the use year that's the closest to your potential booking date before your potential booking date. It's like kind of like a reverse Price is Right. You want to go right before your usual booking window.
Without going over.
Right, without going over. Because you want to have the window to have the maximum amount of points. So you want your new points to be in, like you want your account to be flush with points when you're about to book or for that booking. And then you also want to be able to have the longest possible time, if that falls through, to reschedule your trip or bank your points or whatever.
Yep.
So your answer is April.
Guys.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That's called teamwork right there.
This is why people ask you questions.
Exactly.
Tell us the months again, Joe, just out of curiosity.
I'm sorry?
What's that?
Can you tell us the months again?
Oh, so the use year months are February, March, April, June, August, September, October, and December. So it's not every month.
So weird.
Now, and you could say June. You could say June, depending on what you're qualifying as summer. But if you think you might travel in early June and you might go like a May to June, I would say just go April.
Yeah, go April, because you don't. You want it to be close, but you don't want it to get too close, because just in case your school system lets out early and you want to, and suddenly you're kind of in a bind. You can borrow points, but you may, if you're like me, I'm always borrowing, banking, using, swapping, adding, combining.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
But if you find an awesome deal, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh no. You were like, wait, you said I was right. Go ahead.
Wait, if you find an awesome
I was just saying,
deal, let's talk about that.
If you find an awesome deal on a contract that is like too good to pass up, and it's a March use year or February,
anyway.
2 months might not kill you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So after reading this,
it also
you just want to make sure you're not doing fall if you're going to go the next summer, because then you really are putting yourself in a bind. But yeah,
right. Like we like to travel in September and January, so we picked an August use year because that's almost always the best use year for us. But I would say you should also think about your personality, because what Joe said is true. If you find a great deal on a contract and you're the kind of person like me that doesn't mind a lot of strategy and thinking and borrowing and banking and everything like that, then you can make any use year work. Really, it's just a matter of like making sure your point flow, not your cash flow, but that you sort of have a handle on that, because you could bank initially, and then you could just sort of like live in a perpetual borrow state, which is really sort of, it's all just sort of like, but really, if you're going to do that, you really have to be up for a little strategy. So the easiest thing to do is to get April.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Great.
All righty.
We have question number 2. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
This is from a Sydney Seeger. Came in from an email. She says, my husband and I are very interested in becoming a DVC member and have recently requested the information DVD. I have a questions thought. Are we able to use our points anywhere on Disney property, or does it have to be a DVC property only? My husband and I love Port Orleans French Quarter because of its small size and homey feel. We want to explore other resorts, but if we become DVC members, we just don't want to have to stay at only DVC resorts. If I can use points, I'm sorry. If you,
Rebecca.
If we, okay.
Let him finish reading the question.
Go ahead and finish.
She concludes, if we can only use points at DVC resorts, could we just rent them out and pay out of pocket to stay at a non-DVC resort, or is that a waste of money? Then she goes, thanks for keeping all. Keep up what you guys do. I love listening to the show. Brightens up her days, and that's Sydney Seeger. Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you, Sydney.
Okay. So I went ahead
and answered your question all in one phrase, which is awesome for us because it makes it easy to be lazy.
Well, but for those of us who weren't lazy, if you didn't, I went ahead and looked it up. I've got the point chart in front of me right now. If you had decided to, and everybody knows I'm the guy who rents my points all the time. I'm the one who always says rent your points. You'll always do out better. But in case you wanted to know, yes, you can use your points for the other resorts. It is not the best use of your points. It's not the best value. But some of the resorts aren't too bad, and Port Orleans is one of those. The hard part with Port Orleans, I've never booked through them, but just looking at the way it's set up, when you look at DVC points for Port Orleans, it does not differentiate between both resorts, although it says you can go to both resorts. So
interesting.
But
it doesn't differentiate between Riverside and French Quarter.
No, when you look on the point chart, it just says Disney's Port Orleans Resort. Now, when you go online though, and you bring it up, it will let you pull up them individually. So, for example, June 4th through June 10th, a week. At Port Orleans Resort French Quarter, 135 points for a standard, 160 points for a Riverview.
Wow.
And that's not bad.
Not terrible.
Can you compare that to another DVC? Do you have that in front of you? I just
sure, I can bring one up.
So
yeah.
just pick any other DVC resort.
I mean, I'm not trying. I loved Riverside when I stayed there, but keep in mind that you're talking about a smaller room. You're not talking about having a kitchenette.
You're talking about a completely different set of amenities.
Yeah, it's a hotel.
And I love French Quarter, but that seems astronomical to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, when at the very same time, let me find one here, for example.
Like a Saratoga Studios or an Old Key.
Yeah, Saratoga's low. Old Key West
are both on the...
It's like buying a Cadillac and then wanting to drive a Chevy. It's like they're both nice cars, but like no, they're both nice cars, but like but you're spending all this money on a contract. You know what I'm saying? You're almost better off buying an annual pass and then trying to get some annual pass rates for
Which you can do. And the thing is, if you're a DVC owner, you're not locked into only using your points. Like we rid points. I stayed on an AP discount this last time. Like you don't only have to go to Disney on a DVC point value if you're a DVC member. I mean, Joe, you stayed the Contemporary this last
I am like the poster child for like staying everywhere.
Yeah, like paying cash sometimes.
So you kind of play the odds and figure out which is the best value for your money.
I mean, if your sole purpose is to rent your points to stay at a moderate, I don't know if that's a lot of work to stay at a moderate.
Right. Like I would buy the points and stay at the Poly and then pay out of pocket for another trip to stay at Port Orleans with my annual pass that I bought with my DVC discount.
Yeah, I would say you want to have to, like, when you're making this decision, I feel like you should want to stay at a DVC unit at least 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think you're kind of wasting your money because there are deals at the different hotels. And if you just know you're always going to want to go to French Quarter or something, then for goodness sake, shop deals and try to travel in the cheap season.
The interesting part about French Quarter, though, it is usually exempted from any discounts.
Yeah,
because it's that popular. It's a great resort.
That's
super cool.
And so, given that, okay, maybe that's a thing to think about.
But here's the thing, guys. I agree with what you're saying, but the reality is some people just like certain resorts. You're right. You shouldn't buy DVC if you plan to not go to a DVC resorts.
Agreed.
But you should feel free that if once in a while you want to do it, go for it. So I pulled it up.
What were the dates that you picked for the
4th through the 10th? So at Saratoga Springs, a 1-bedroom villa is 179 points. So that's 18 points or
do a studio,
which is 2 rooms.
And the studio was
comparable.
82 points.
And
So 34
quarter
points less
was
than the standard view.
130.
So 88 points versus 120 or 150.
Here's
There's
another
100.
one. Here's a standard studio at the Boardwalk, which is within walking distance of Epcot and Hollywood Studios. 87 points.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Compared to
what you're
116. So
Yeah.
if you want to
if
stay
you're
at
looking
French
to get
Quarter
the
like
most
every couple of
bang for your
years,
buck, it's not going to be that way.
right?
Right.
And if you're looking to stay at French Quarter every couple of years and have and experience that because you love it, go for it. Still go DVC as long as you're okay with staying at DVC most of the time. But the real value is in those DVC units.
Yeah, and that's the right verbiage. This isn't the best value for your points. But they're asking, do we have flexibility to do this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You can definitely
Absolutely.
do it.
They're your points. Enjoy. Just don't buy DVC if you're just going to
I'm
go to
just
French
curious,
Quarter. That
Brad,
doesn't
do
make
you
any sense.
know, is there, like, how does that work? Like, if I did decide, to heck with all the point values and smart, ways to do it. I'm staying at French Quarter with my points. Are there only a certain number of rooms that are allotted? Like, would you have difficulty booking French Quarter with your points? I guess.
I don't think so.
I don't
it's probably,
think so.
It's probably like using points like when you use your Hilton Honors points or your Starwood points. It just
Right.
you're gonna get a room from that standard view and standard room inventory.
The way that I
So they're
understand
not
it is,
pays
bound by
them.
the same. You have to rent a number of rooms versus sell a number of rooms.
And let me ask you guys a question. If and I don't know the answer to this, if you guys were to do this, are taxes included?
If you use points for
I
French
think you
Quarter.
use your
Yeah,
points.
so-
So
You just use your points.
Okay,
If
so it
you-
doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah,
taxes.
so if you rent, and this is only coming from the standpoint of renting points, which seems somewhat similar in this case. If you rent, it is a flat rate. Like you pay X amount, and that includes your taxes, your fee, all of that.
Okay.
Like with
if
RCI,
you get a
there's
room on
usually
points,
fee.
everything's it's included in
Yeah.
it. I've
Okay.
done that on
Okay, so
several-
here's my next question, which is rather odd, but we just talked about this. If you rented points at Port Orleans, French Quarter, which is not a DVC resort, would you still get maid service every day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think so. Yeah,
Because
because I
all
think it's like
Maybe there's a perk.
here's the way it works. Okay, the hotels have a contract with DVC because they're separate companies.
right.
They're just because they're Disney, they're not the same. So they have a contract, and in that contract, they say you let people use our points to book your rooms. We will pay you X amount for those rooms.
Okay.
Right,
so-
they literally have to pay.
And they literally have to pay. Same with Disney Cruise. It's all these companies. So
That's why the cruises are
basically,
so expensive.
exactly. So they look at it and they go, okay, so no problem. You booked a room, but once you're in the resort, you're not a DVC person there.
You are
You're
just
just a
a
person in the resort. Yep.
So then, Sydney, the answer to your question is absolutely you can do it.
Yep.
Is it the best use of your money? No. But is it a waste of your money? You know what? If that's where you want to stay, absolutely not. Because I
Although-
believe you stay where you want to stay.
So
right.
here's the thing, though. You want to figure out. Sorry, the banker in me is triggered here. You got to figure out how much you're paying for those points and how much you're paying in maintenance fees. And if you're
But
paying,
again,
I mean,
if it's where
that
you
math.
want to be,
but you could
there's
pay
no
cash
such
and
thing
it
as a
could be
waste
cheaper.
of money if you're where you want to be. I absolutely believe that with all my heart.
Well, I agree with you, except that if you could book the same, if they say they want to go to French Quarter every single trip, and they could book it less expensively via cash every single year, if their maintenance
Absolutely.
fees on 150 points are like $1,200 and the trip itself without any down payment on the points at all is $1,200 at French Quarter, then it's just ridiculous to pay.
But I
and
don't.
join
I
DVC for
actually,
that.
given her question, I don't believe that's what she's saying because she says we just don't want to have to stay at only DVC.
Okay, sure, right.
So
right.
reading the question makes me believe that, you know what, we're going to stay in DVC resorts 85% of the time. But 15% of the time, we want to be at French Quarter because whatever.
Right.
Which I think is fantastic because I love that resort. So
It is
my
gorgeous.
opinion is if it's a prepaid thing, like if I have these points and I can either stay at the Contemporary where I may or may not want to be, or I can kind of waste my points but stay at the resort I really want to stay at because it has some sentimental value, go for it.
Right. Agreed.
Just be aware it's not the best maximum use of your points.
Just hang in there, and eventually
Right.
we'll probably be DVC eventually.
Well, there is
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
You'll have
I
a
was
lot
gonna
of
say
going
that.
directly
They're
to
gonna
it.
run out of other places to
gonna
put
say
them.
that.
So
Right. So, Sydney, let us know what you end up doing. We're
That's
very
the-
curious how that'll work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. That was a great question.
All right. Next question. This is from a Skylar. Greetings, Loopers. After a lot of research, spreadsheets, and listening to your expert opinions, I made the jump. They say-
all right, welcome
Yeah.
aboard.
Emily has a new best
Welcome
friend.
home.
There you
ahead,
go.
Tim. Read it.
Exactly. Feels great.
Research and spreadsheets, that makes me so excited.
Spreadsheets and
And they bought a
wait for the
70.
next part.
Yeah, they bought a 70-point contract at the Grand Floridian through the resale market. Now they have a few questions. One, will my points be worth less in the future? I can stay for 7 days at Animal Kingdom during the adventure season, but in 10 years, will it cost more points-wise? And then number two, I bought a resale due to the huge savings. Are the perks of DVC worth buying it through Disney? And they say thank you, and that would once again was Skylar. What do you think, guys?
Hi, Skylar.
Hello
Okay, well,
there.
it's the age old. We'll try to make it as simple as we can. Here's the thing:
Awesome.
points. The number of points in a resort cannot go up. They will stay the same, but they can reallocate how much each day costs and each season costs. So when you ask and say, could this date be more, this room be more? Yes, for that day it could be, but then that means somewhere else during the year it has to get lower in order for that one to get higher. So you may have to, and I'll just use myself as a perfect example. When we bought in, we had a plan in mind. We always traveled because of what I do for a living. We traveled, we were there, and back then it was Disneyland. We were there Monday through Friday, traveled home on Saturday, be home by Sunday. So Monday through Friday. So I planned out my points. So they always cost more points on the weekends than on weekdays. And it used to be way big difference between the two. So I didn't have to have very many points. But then they started changing the way they did it. And suddenly the weekdays all got to cost you more points. So it was getting harder and harder for me to do what I did before on those days. But it got cheaper on the weekends. And that's how they did it.
Ah.
So the simple answer is it won't change overall, but you may have to change the seasons and the ways that you do it to still get the same value out of your points and the same number of days. But you'll still be able to do it. You just got to get more creative.
And Brad, I found a really cool article online about DVC points chart inflation, and it's essentially saying from when they built Bay Lake Tower on, that they're saying that like the minimum amount of points for a studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom grand villas, it's costing more at the newer resorts.
Yes.
So
Oh, yeah.
there's an argument out there, and I don't know if this is fact, but they made an argument about this that it's to make members with older contracts buy add-ons so they could stay. So if you're an original member at Old Key West and the original contracts from 25, 26 years ago, that if you wanted to stay at like Bay Lake Tower for the same amount of time that you'd have to buy, or the Polynesian Bungalows, whatever, or Grand Floridian, you'd have to buy an additional add-on contract. There was an argument out there that a couple of these websites had made, and it was actually pretty interesting. I was like, wow, and they did some charts and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of saying that like your points might not be worth less, but yeah, it's going to cost more to stay at these newer resorts as they're being built.
Yep.
Which kind of it's definitely true. Like if I try to stay, I feel like every time we try to stay at the Grand Floridian, it's like 150, 200 points. Now, keep in mind, Skylar, we're staying in a 1-bedroom for a week, but I feel like it's like 150 to 250 points versus when we stay at Saratoga, it's much less expensive, or Old Key West or Boardwalk. Those are really great values. Now, I will say what happens is you just end up staying at the other resorts. So, so I guess like there is definitely an inflation. Joe, please send that article out, or maybe post it even to Loop Nation.
I have it here. I have it here right
I would
now.
love to read it.
It's again.
I love that stuff.
It's again. I'm going to give them credit. It's a great website, dvcinfo.com. The article is from, I don't know when it is, but it's got some really cool graphs on it. and it goes all the way up to the Polynesian Village bungalows. It's a 2016 points chart.
I saw that. I actually saw that.
It's a really cool article, and if you like graphs, you'll really be in it because it's color and everything.
I'm so excited.
It's important.
It's actually,
I like spreadsheets, Skylar.
It's actually it's an interesting article, and it's, when we've been talking about this for as long as we've been doing this show about doing your research and stuff, and these are excellent questions. This is something to think about. Like, okay, my points, I only have 70 points. Is it going to be worth it 20 years from now?
And
the important thing to point out too, though, so that people don't get confused, what they're describing is a virtual inflation because you're going to different resorts.
Right.
But if you buy at one resort, that's your resort.
The other port.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not. You're going to be okay. But they're exactly right. If you really want to now, oh man, I want to see Polynesian. Well, of course I want to go on a bungalow out on the water. Who doesn't? You want how much?
Right.
Yeah.
So Skylar, in essence, you are totally fine with your purchase. You don't have to worry about it. It may be you may end up switching your vacation style around, but you didn't ask about the particular period of time you're going to go. Where like, will weekends be more expensive? Weekends might be more expensive because they keep. I mean, what Brad described is that they're toying with the calendars to try to even out. I think even out demand and supply.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what they did. And when everything started getting busy again, that's when they started evening it out. Now the weekends are closer to weekdays.
And it's also you kind of want that, right? You kind of want some, and I think they do that also because the calendar shifts and like, say we all start, worshiping the alien overlord someday, and they have like a special holiday that we all have to observe, and suddenly this other date that we've never even thought about becomes completely in demand. Like,
and Emily, what they did with that
next Run Disney, right?
that weekend is marathon weekend.
Right.
January
you're totally
is
right.
It's 100%
January is a
right,
value season, except it says marathon weekend, and
Right.
the points. It's not a huge spike, but it's a definite difference in point values. So they have done that. I mean, so just
they tweak their calendar with demand. Right. And it makes sense, and it makes sense from an owner's perspective because you want to have times where like it's valuable to go, or like you get a better value. You want to have those times. You also don't want to get totally ripped off if you want to go for Christmas one year.
Bingo. Yeah,
or
exactly.
Whatever, Passover or whatever. You just don't want to. You don't want to. You want to have it sort of receptive to demand. So, but you won't ever be at the point where you can't afford to go for a week. Exactly. You won't be there.
Now
that's the thing, Skylar.
He asks about Skylar asks about the perks. What do you guys think about the perks?
I would say no.
No.
And I stay on top of this because I'm still in the market to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, the pendulum has not swung. So far the pendulum has not swung to where they make it worth buying through Disney yet.
I think still
if 100% the way to go.
Yeah, I think if you're very flexible and you can travel when the perks are available and when you can take advantage, maybe. But the problem is, so many of the perks, they're great, but they're all, okay, you got this special day, and it's on this, you got to come, 3 weeks from now. It's like, well, I can't come.
Right.
So,
right.
So the perks are very targeted. It's like this Disney cruise. Okay, well, it's great, but it's for one weekend, and it's for a different itinerary.
I've not found it to be.
No.
And Skylar, I will send you my Disney Files magazine every month or every quarter.
Oh, look at that.
I was going to say one last thing for
Skylar. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Skylar, just one last thing though. Listen, just so you know, I'll bet you on this panel and anybody else you ever talked to, every one of us that ever bought DVC had the same concerns. We were worried we were going to get, the condo ripoff, the timeshare tango, and we did not want that. And and the cool part with Disney is they really revamped and changed the industry. It'll change, but you can trust them.
Anyway, well, there you go. I think we answered Skylar's question. Not only did we answer her questions, but now we know the alien overlords like run Disney weekends. So I had no idea.
Exactly.
That's why Tim and I were there in Run Disney weekend. So that was nice.
A lot of fun. Okay, last question here. And Brad, you actually answered this on the web. I think we need to just mention on the show real quick. This is from Nick Salcido. He goes, Thank you so much for answering my question a few months back. It really did help us. It actually helped us so much that it was one of the deciding factors in allowing us to take a plunge and become DVC members.
Well done. Congratulations.
How about that?
I feel like we're drug pushers.
We are.
I feel like we're drug pushers.
First one's free.
And then they say, as we are planning our next trips for the next 5 years, we are so excited about the whole process in general that I wanted to see if you guys would be willing to help clarify something for us. We initially were thinking about buying more points than we ended up with. However, we wanted to make sure that we had some points through Disney for the perks of buying through them, as well as lock down our spot on the monorail over at the Poly. We plan in the next 2 years or so to add more points to our DVC, more likely through a resale market, and also more than likely not at the Poly. However, I'm somewhat confused on the process of making reservations with DVC points if you own at 2 separate resorts. For example, say we have 100 points at the Poly and at Saratoga and wanted to go down with the grandparents and have a bigger room or stay longer. I'm under the impression that we can only make reservations at our home resort at 11 months, but at 7 we can pretty much go anywhere as long as there is availability. If I wanted to use all 200 points, can I even make a reservation at the Poly for the 200 points in good faith that I utilize my points from Saratoga, or how does that work? I appreciate any input you guys have and your brain trust will have for us, and look forward to the next show. Thanks from down here in Cincinnati. Once again, that's Nick Salcido.
The brain trust.
So it looks like Brad.
Yeah, because between all of us, we equal one brain.
There you go.
One brain. Absolutely.
So Brad, what did you tell
Well
Nick?
done, Brad. Well done.
And I'm just an add-on, so.
Oh.
It sounds like Brad already gave you his opinion, and that's the person I would have directed this to, because I think he probably has the most contracts of all of us. But, and that's just a guess based on everything, but I will say I have 2 contracts. One's a direct, one's a resale, and they have the same use year. But I will say it is a little bit tricky when you're trying to make reservations at a place that is not your home resort or that is your home resort. So you could only reserve the amount of points that you have at your home resort if you're reserving your home resort at the 11-month mark. And for those vacations, what I do is I reserve the most popular dates, which are still the weekends. So if I'm trying to book a vacation at the 11-month mark, and I know I want to stay at Grand, and I only have 110 points at Grand, and I know that the week's going to cost 250 points, I book the weekend at the Grand Floridian, and I book that at the 11-month mark. And then I usually try to have a backup plan. I may even book a backup week with the Saratoga points. But then when it comes to the 7-month mark, I book the weekdays at Saratoga.
And you just cancel the points on the one, and it goes back in your bank, and you use them real quick. Yep.
Right. So that's
good plan.
Yep. So that's what I would say. But it's true, you cannot. There's no like a good faith exception or anything where you can use all of your points to book at your home resort, Grand Floridian. You can't book the 250 points at the 11-month mark just because you promise you'll use them all.
He could borrow if he has 200-point contract. He could borrow from, it's just say his Polynesian contract. He could borrow from the future year, and do it that way.
Definitely. And if you know, like every other year you're going to stay at Poly, you could bank and borrow just that for your Poly contract, or for your Poly stays, and that's a really smart way to do it. But that requires a lot of foresight. It does sound like you're planning ahead, so you could definitely do that. Bank and borrow, and make sure you're always using your Poly points at Poly. That you're going to get the most bang for your buck and the best planning bang for your buck, I guess, if you're staying at your home resort. So that's why people tell you to buy where you're going to stay. Not that you have to, but that's where you're going to have the most flexibility and the best benefits.
Nice.
And the only thing, and the main things that I shared, when I answered back, was just to remind them that at the 7-month window, the sense I got was, is this going to be complicated or hard? It's not. It's not complicated. Mm-mm. It's not. If you have the same use year, I told him that's my mantra because I learned the hard way. But yeah, this is easy. You just go online and they say, okay, it's going to cost you X amount of points. You want to use all of your Poly, and then you want to use 50 of your other. How do you want to do it? And you just tell them how you want to do it. And they'll pull points from both contracts, and they'll cover the deal. But that's a very good way to do it. And a lot of people do that at the 11-month window. Book the busier days, which are the weekends. You're right. And then they'll, when it comes available at the 7-month, they try. If they don't immediately get it, I know a lot of people that go on standby.
Waitlist, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Waitlist. Yep. And I know a ton of people. unless it's really it's marathon weekend or something, or somewhere where you just most wait lists eventually
will come through.
Yeah,
Right.
especially if you do it 7 months out. Usually they'll go through. So,
And Nick,
That's the other
Nick,
thing to
if
think
you
about.
get, I'm sorry, Nick, if you get confused, like for some reason, I've had trouble last year for some reason banking my points for some reason. Call up DVC Member Services. They are they are awesome. And I explain to them
They're
like,
your friends.
I'm not confused. I'm confused about this. And they're like, oh, Mr. Quattrochi, you actually banked the wrong points, and these would have expired on you. And they actually fixed it
Then
for
they
me.
switched it. Yes,
And they switched
because
it and they
they're
did it. So
awesome.
if you're not 100% sure, call up DVC Member Services.
You
Their
bet.
hours are a little more restrictive than the normal Disney World line. Their hours sometimes will end at like 6 or 7 Eastern time. Like they're not open super late. But if you can make some time during the day, they're awesome to deal with. I've never met anybody who was not helpful on that phone line. So that's always another
Great.
option for you as well.
Absolutely.
They'll also help you strategize. So if you call in and you're
Yeah.
like, this is what I want to do, and I want to make sure that I'm not using I want to basically use this to the best advantage, and I want to book this resort for this time, but I want to be able to book whatever next time.
Yeah.
Those people are super professional, and they will help you. They'll help you do it. So,
Great.
You can just tell them, what do you think's the best strategy? This is what I want, and they'll walk you right through it. They're great.
Awesome.
And at the 7-month mark, you're completely. It all depends on also when you want to travel. Like if you're talking peak season, then yes, you need to seriously strategize. But if you're talking about say going in a random week in the summer, I mean, peak season for DVC is different than peak season for the rest of the world. So, and you'll soon find that out. And so if you just have to strategize differently, and maybe you travel at a different time of the year. But I have a feeling you'll always get you can always pretty much get the accommodations you want where you want to get them if you're flexible.
And when you're
Even
coming-
at the Poly, they have a lot of availability at the 7 month.
And when you're
Right.
coming close to your 7-month window, you can go onto the DVC member website and check out the availability tool to see what's
Yes.
available and what's not. So that's another
Let's
great
just get
tool that they've
close.
added.
Good,
And
good.
I've had a friend who's his beach club just came through. He was missing 2 days out of a 9-day trip, and he kept checking the availability. He kept checking. He was waitlisted and finally came through. So he waited a while. His patience paid off. He was checking that availability tool. It actually saw it popped, and then he literally got an email. So that's another thing to keep an eye on as well.
Nice. I think Nick's all set. That's some great information.
That was great information.
All right, before we wrap this up, I thought it might be fun to have a quick throw it around there. I want to know what everybody's favorite DVC Resort bathroom amenity is.
The toilet paper. Oh, no. What?
Bob.
Oh,
You're
you
an
beat me to
amateur.
it.
He doesn't get it at home.
The lotion. I'm
'Cause I'm
jumping
telling
in
you
before
that-
somebody steals mine.
I'm telling you, those paper towels just are not the same. They're rough. So,
Well, I don't know if you guys saw, but H2O is now discontinuing the use of the little bottles with the ears on it. They're not doing those anymore, which is kind of
I
sad.
noticed in my slumming it at the movies that they did not have it this time.
Oh, they didn't even have it
Oh.
but it looks like the bottles are bigger now, which is great.
For you, not for me.
Well,
They
you
were-
know.
They were
That's
About
true.
the ears.
Depends
I
on the
see
hair.
Tinkerbell and Castles. What are we talking
Yeah,
about?
so at the All-Stars, the H2O used to be little blue bottles with the caps were little black caps with ears on it. They look like Mickey
Oh,
heads.
this is an all-star thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
You wouldn't
Sorry.
understand.
Here we go.
For everybody out
Oh,
there
my.
that hates me, I do this on purpose. It's true. I've never been to
So
a bar.
I will freely admit that on my last trip, so I was staying at All-Star Movies and traveling only with a backpack because I flew Spirit Airlines. So I did not bring lotion with me. So I did steal into the bathroom at Joe and Jennifer Quattrochi's and use their lotion.
Contemporary resort room.
Joe's like, that's where it went.
Wow.
I wonder where it was. I was missing a lotion.
I was so dry and chapped all week.
Yeah. Now, so that's my favorite bathroom amenity. But what we learned at the Contemporary this weekend is that the pool, what do they bring you, Joe?
They bring you cold towels, which was
That's fancy.
Ooh.
Guys, they walk around and they say, "Can I offer you a cold towel?"
Well, yes, you can.
And if you're not a member of Looper Nation Live on Facebook, you should go and join. Ask to join the group, and then when these things happen, you can see them happen live as they happen.
Right. It's so.
That was lotion, because I feel like the shampoo and conditioner I bring with me anyway, because I require a certain level of shampoo and conditioner.
Obviously.
But the H2O stuff is actually very good stuff. When I lived in Michigan years ago, there was the H2O store, and the stuff's expensive. I mean, I know you could buy it in the gift shops in Disney and it's marked up, but even the retail stores outside of the bubble, the stuff's not cheap, and it's really good product. So I think it's all good.
So am I hallucinating? Oh, well, so first of all, my favorite is the softening mint. Yeah, right. My favorite is the softening mint foot rub by H2O Spa.
What?
And
Yes.
that's what happens if you stay at the Grand Floridian. I'm just saying. I think I've mentioned the green things.
Too.
No, we had that conversation. We cannot stay at the Grand Floridian.
You need some fancy foot scrub. So I love this stuff, but then I swear that some of them have aloe too, and maybe it's a Grand. I swear I've gotten aloe in little containers. And
I feel
those are
like
my
if we
favorite.
ever stay at the Grand Flo, we're going to have you come with us and just escort us.
I'll show you. Yes.
Yeah.
That's okay. And someday maybe I'll stay at the All-Stars and you can show me around. It'll be fair.
There you go.
Listen, let me tell you
We'll
something.
be like cultural ambassadors for each other.
Emily, let me tell you something. Make sure you get an All-Star with the connecting room, the doors.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I opened mine, and what a surprise
Wow.
I had on the other side. It was fantastic.
Wow.
I'm inclined to say that it's also the towels.
We need
because
to
I
keep our
noticed
family
a
rating
distinct
here.
difference in the towel quality from the contemporary to the All-Stars.
Do you guys remember when the bathroom stuff had actually the hotel logo on it years ago?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I really missed it. Like, I miss just stuff having the logo on it in general. It made
Hotel,
resorts so personalized. Everything's
Yes.
just so generic now. I mean, I remember finding stuff years ago. I had like the little Maui, the sun god at the Polynesia had it on the soap.
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
that was just really cool.
Oh,
Now,
that's really cool.
everything is just like generic now. I wish they would kind of. I mean, hell, I'll take like just the resort mugs. We'll start small. I mean, that's
Right.
I thought that was like really
Exactly.
cool when they had that kind of imprinted on it.
You know what? This reminded me of, I think we were talking about it at the very beginning, and I can't remember. But I feel like, I think it was, let's see. It was related to an expense. It was the first story we talked about. But anyway, my thought is that I really wish that Disney would splurge a little bit again like they used to. And I feel like it would be well received, because I know that they're a business and I know they have to save and they have to, create efficiencies, if you will. But let's see. Oh, this is the golf course and the cruise and the Instagram. I'm trying to jog my memory here, but
Spit it out, woman.
yeah, sorry. I do this every time. 3 children, guys. 3 children. I think my point is just that, like, I feel like there are tiny little savings that they're trying to incorporate on a grand level, and I just don't always think that they're in the best interest of like the whole image of the company. You know what I mean? And I think that the Resort Loop merchant or the resort specific merchandise is somewhere like, yeah, it might be like 3 cents more to print Maui on that soap, but it's what sets Disney apart from all the other places you could go vacation. And
Right.
it's what makes every vacation different when you stay at Disney 100 times.
Just
And I don't
spend
know if you guys know this or not. And Tim, I'm sorry to jump on
No,
this,
you're
but my wife with her foundation, NASCAR Foundation, they do service projects themselves. They go and they volunteer at different charities and stuff like that during the year. And one of the things that they did this past year was they volunteered at a charity called Clean the World. And if you're not familiar with Clean the World, it's a charity based in Orlando. And if you look on the back of I don't know if it's going to be on the new ones, but on the back of the Disney hotel bottles, it has the Clean the World logo. And what that is any of the unused or any of the partially used soaps and shampoos that you leave in your hotel room in Disney World, they're actually collected by housekeeping and they're brought to Clean the World. They're actually sorted and sanitized. And what they do is they actually put them in kits for people that are homeless, for veterans, that kind of thing. So
That's awesome.
if you do decide to leave your stuff behind and not bring it home with you, it is going towards, they don't just throw it out. It is going towards a legitimate and great cause where they do give it out to, like I said, some people that are not as fortunate as we are, so they can become clean. Because sometimes even just, a shower and feeling clean and a shave makes somebody who doesn't have much feel like $100,000. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that is
so
something
true,
That's awesome.
that is something that if people didn't know about that, she did that last year, and I thought it was amazing. I was like, wow.
That now makes my favorite resort bathroom amenity the leftovers.
There you
Yes,
go. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Who knew?
Absolutely, Brad.
It's called
Yes.
Clean the World. It's a pretty cool.
Awesome.
I don't know how big it is, but they did some volunteer work there, and it was
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think on that, we need to start wrapping up the show.
Yes.
There you go. What a
Why,
great show.
Tim? Why would you do
What-
that?
We got to save something for
Only
next
time
month.
We're allowed out of ourselves.
Exactly. Thought you said we were family. You're kicking us out already?
You're all Ohana. You're
Go
Ohana.
home,
They're coming
people, go
back.
home.
You don't have to go home, but you can stay here.
There you go.
If I promise to miss you, will you go away?
Oh, my goodness. Tim, get us out of here.
I will. Rebecca, where can people find you at?
Mostly at the bar, but I can also be found on Twitter under Rebecca Toon or Rebecca Berry 73, as well as Facebook at the same address.
Excellent. Emily Hansa Hicks.
You can find me perpetually packing for my next Disney vacation.
Nice.
Oh, I'm stealing that.
Or at First Comes WDW on Twitter and Looper Nation Live, just hanging out there, lurking, watching your comments. Or at the Resort Loop Rocketeer sites or their Twitter or anything like that, hanging out with the Joe, enjoying the running ride, which, by the way, I'm totally slacking on. But back to you guys.
Season.
Speaking of original, how about the original Super Looper Joe Quattrochi? Where can people find you?
You can find me loitering at Disney's Contemporary Resort.
Nice. With the cold towel.
But if not, you can find me at Joe Quad on Twitter. You can find me over at the Resort Loop Rocketeers. You can also find me over at the other podcast, the other Joffrey's podcast, over at the Mickey Dudes podcast as well.
And our birthday boy, Brad Coates.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. As they say in Animal Kingdom, Hippo Dirt Day to use. You can find me in Animal Kingdom in Pandora trying to find the jewelry. And you can find me on Facebook, Brad Coates, Papa Mouse 1 on Twitter.
Awesome.
Guys, seriously, Pandora is awesome.
Can't wait.
Oh, don't
Can't
spoil
wait.
it. Don't spoil it.
Oh
I'm
my god!
pretending.
And see the
I'm not
fireworks.
reading anything.
See the fireworks from the park, not from anywhere else.
Yeah, we learned that the hard lesson.
Yeah.
That's a show for another day, right?
There you go. Absolutely.
There you go.
Great.
Yeah. Tim, it's your turn.
I was waiting for you to say that's all we got. Did we do that?
Oh, hey, Tim.
Yes, Bob.
That's all.
Let's wrap up the show. Everybody, please go out there, listen, and subscribe to the show if you're liking it. This has been the Gateway to the Magic.
Yeah, make sure
See
you
everybody.
subscribe. Make
See
sure
everybody.
Hey, whoa.
Whoa.
What?
Hey, where'd that come from?
Make sure
Hello.
you
Technically,
subscribe.
it's
That
not-
way you don't miss any of these.
And all
Alright.
this is not all
Now,
we got. They're cutting
go
it
ahead.
off.
What? That's
Everybody say it. Go ahead, everybody.
Do it.
Everybody.
See everybody.
See everybody.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Thanks for listening to the show. But now you want to share your love of Disney, right? Unfortunately, a lot of our friends, family, and coworkers just don't share the same enthusiasm we do for all things Disney. Well, now MyDismatch.com has made it even easier with the all-new MyDismatch apps for iOS and Android devices. Just download the MyDismatch app and connect with new Disney friends today. And now, for a limited time, you'll get your first month of full membership free just for signing up. Look for the new MyDismatch apps on iTunes and Google Play and start connecting with real Disney friends today.